The story opens with a glimpse into a future ravaged by destruction. The world, once thriving, now lies in ruins, buildings toppled, the ground scarred, and a sense of despair hangs in the air. Amidst this apocalyptic backdrop, a colossal centipede-like monster looms menacingly. Facing this terrifying creature is a lone man, standing his ground against overwhelming odds, prepared to fight despite the futility. In the midst of this chaotic vision, a voice calls out from the void, "Lu Shang, Lu Shang." The name echoes, pulling him back from the brink of terror. Lu Shang awakens with a start, drenched in sweat. His surroundings shift from the battlefield of his nightmare to the ultra-familiar confines of his classroom. The harsh voice of his teacher continues, scolding him as laughter erupts from his classmates. He has fallen asleep in class against something that has become far too common. Embarrassed and disoriented, Lu Shang sits silently as the ridicule washes over him. As class ends, his friend Liu Qiming approaches with a cheerful attitude. He suggests they hang out and play games outside, trying to lighten Lu Shang's mood. But Lu Shang declines the offer. His mind is still entangled in the remnants of the terrifying dream. The vivid images and emotions linger, refusing to fade. With a heavy heart and a distant gaze, Lu Shang begins walking home alone, his thoughts consumed by what he saw. Upon reaching home, a modest and humble dwelling, he finds a familiar but heart-wrenching sight. His mother is gently applying medicinal plasters to his father's back, her movements careful and practiced. The room is filled with quiet determination and silent sacrifice. Though their family lives in poverty, his parents never once let that hardship interfere with their commitment to Lu Shang's education. Watching them, Lu Shang feels a pang of sorrow. Their sacrifices weigh heavily on him, reminding him of how much they give up so that he can attend school and chase a future they hope will be brighter. He heads to his room, and despite his exhaustion, begins his nightly routine of practicing. A self-developed martial arts regimen, improvised series of movements he believes will strengthen his body and mind. As he trains, he reflects on the world they live in, a place where human beings can unlock extraordinary martial arts capabilities, enhancing their physical prowess to superhuman levels. However, for most, this remains a distant dream that only the truly gifted or privileged can achieve. Fatigued from his training, Lu Shang finally collapses onto his bed and drifts into sleep once more. The nightmare returns, unrelenting. In this dream world, the monstrous invasion continues. Creatures beyond comprehension attack mercilessly. Lu Shang, again caught in the chaos, finds himself face to face with a zombie-like enemy. Desperately, he uses the movements from his basic training to fight back, but it's not enough. He struggles, overwhelmed by the strength and resilience of the creature. Still, with sheer willpower, he manages to defeat the zombie by slamming it repeatedly with a large stone. As the zombie falls, its body begins to disintegrate into a mysterious mist. That strange energy flows toward Lu Shang, enveloping him. Suddenly, his mind is flooded with foreign memories, fragments of thought and sensation that do not belong to him. He realizes these are the lingering thoughts of the zombie he just defeated. The experience is overwhelming and confusing, but strangely enlightening. Before he can fully comprehend what has happened, more zombies emerge from the shadows. They rush toward him with terrifying speed. Lu Shang braces for death, but then something unexpected happens. His body moves faster, hits harder. A surge of power he has never felt before flows through him. He realizes somehow, by absorbing the essence of the zombie, he has inherited a portion of its strength. As he continues to fend off the monsters with this newfound power, a thought forms in his mind. Could this dream be more than just a nightmare? Is it possible that by defeating these creatures, he gains their strength and their memories? And if so, what lies at the end of this terrifying path? For now, Lu Shang stands in the dream world, stronger than before, yet still uncertain of what this mysterious power truly means. One thing is clear, his journey has just begun. Lu Shang could hardly believe what he had just experienced. The memories, the strange power, the unfamiliar techniques, none of it made sense. A mixture of awe and confusion overwhelmed him. His breathing was still heavy, and his heart pounded with emotions he couldn't quite name. It felt too real to be just a dream. Yet the world around him had shifted back to quiet reality. Suddenly, the sharp sound of knocking echoed from his door. Knock, knock, knock. Lu Shang stirred and slowly opened his eyes. The dream faded away, replaced by the dim lighting of his room. At the door stood his younger sister Lu Qing, calling him for dinner. As the door opened further, she paused and looked at him with surprise. Something about Lu Shang was different. His body, though not bulky, now had well-defined muscle lines and an aura of strength she hadn't seen before. His sister, slightly wide-eyed, commented on his appearance. Even Lu Sheng was caught off guard. His physique had clearly changed. After she left, Lu Sheng stood in front of the mirror. He moved into a basic combat stance and began testing some of the moves he had performed in the dream. Punches, dodges, shifts in weight, everything felt sharper and smoother. His body responded better than it ever had before. The martial techniques from the dream. They had indeed transferred over somehow. Impossibly, he had brought part of that world into this one. Still processing what had happened, Lu Sheng eventually went downstairs and joined his family for dinner. He ate with unusual appetite, consuming his meal quickly and with focus. The exertion, the energy consumed in the dream, it felt as though it had been real, and his body was now demanding nourishment to recover from it. After finishing his meal, Lu Sheng made his way to the martial arts hall. It was a local center where martial artists trained and tested their blood ketha, internal energy vital for advanced martial abilities. However, the hall was known for its expensive education. High-level martial arts training wasn't accessible to just anyone. Upon entering, Lu Sheng was approached by the receptionist, who noticed his interest. She offered him the opportunity to enroll in their paid training program. Without hesitation, Lu Sheng declined. He wasn't there to study. He only wanted to take the blood key test, one of the few services offered free of charge. He was led to the testing device. Placing his hand on it, he waited as the machine measured the level of his internal energy. Moments later, the number appeared, 0.963, a clear increase from the average. Lu Sheng felt a swell of pride. The dream, the strength, the training was all real, at least, real enough to raise his blood key level in the waking world. Encouraged by the result, he moved on to the strength testing device. He clenched his fist, took a stance, and unleashed a solid punch onto the sensor. The result, 113. Another improvement. His physical power had risen significantly. Satisfied, he left the martial arts hall and returned home. The night fell quietly, but Lu Sheng was anything but calm. Lying in bed, he tossed and turned. No matter how hard he tried, sleep wouldn't come. His mind was racing, his body restless. Annoyed by his insomnia, he sat up and decided to focus. His thoughts, he recalled the zombie from the dream, the way it moved, the way it fought, the techniques, the postures. These weren't random. They were refined, precise, as if they belonged to someone who had once been a martial artist. Before becoming a monster, Lu Sheng stood and began carefully reenacting those movements. Move by move, he reconstructed what he saw. Every motion felt intuitive, as though his body remembered what his mind did not. These techniques, they were real, and they had once belonged to the life that zombie had lived. In that moment, Lu Sheng realized the true potential of what he had gained. He wasn't just dreaming, he was inheriting a legacy, one fight, one memory at a time. Lu Sheng continued to move deep into the night, silently repeating the movements he had inherited from the dream, the techniques, the forms, the martial flow from that mysterious zombie's past life. Each repetition felt more natural than the last, his body adapting with uncanny speed. Hours passed in quiet focus, his room lit only by the soft glow of the moon outside. But eventually, hunger struck fierce and sudden. His stomach growled violently, and he clutched it in surprise. It wasn't just the usual hunger from missed meals. This was something deeper, almost primal. His body now required more energy, much more. The strengthening of his physique, the increase in blood ki, the advanced martial movements. It was all taking a toll. He realized with some concern that his current form demanded greater nutritional support to maintain and continue evolving, as he quickly devoured what food he could find in the house. A new thought formed in his mind. If his body was changing, and his skills were improving, wasn't it time to show it? Could he finally be of real use in school sports? In martial arts class? And more than that, maybe it was finally time for people to recognize who he was. The next day, school resumed, as usual, but there was something different in the air. It was the start of martial arts training sessions, an important part of the curriculum for cultivating future martial artists. Students buzzed with excitement and tension as they gathered in the training hall. The class was led by none other than Zhang Zhengguo, a seasoned martial arts instructor with sharp eyes and a commanding presence. He began the session by giving the class instructions, basic principles, proper posture, breathing techniques. Then, to demonstrate more advanced forms, he called forward one of the most well-known students in school. Ye Fei. Ye Fei was widely admired for his skill, confidence, and strength. When he stepped forward, the air seemed to shift. He began showcasing several martial techniques under the teacher's guidance, fluid, precise, and strong. The students watched closely, impressed by his talent and grace. After a few demonstrations, Master Zhang nodded in approval. Then, he turned toward the crowd of students. He wanted to conduct a light sparring session, one-on-one supervised. He called for volunteers to step forward. His gaze scanned the group, then stopped. His eyes locked onto Lu Sheng. There was something in Lu Sheng's expression, calm, unwavering, and sharp like a blade. The teacher noticed it immediately. He raised his hand and pointed. "You, step forward." Gasps echoed among the students. Lu Sheng, the quiet one. Was he really going to face Ye? Beside him, Lu Qiminghe's friend hurriedly tried to intervene. "Lu Sheng, don't do it. You don't have to force yourself." But Lu Sheng shook his head and gave Qiming a small, reassuring smile. "Don't worry, I've got this." The teacher gave the signal, and both students moved to the center of the hall. The room grew silent. Yifei took the first stance, confident and relaxed. The teacher gave them a final instruction. "Begin." Yifei attacked first, a sharp, quick punch aimed at Lu Sheng's upper body. But Lu Sheng moved effortlessly. He dodged with minimal motion, as if he had seen the attack before it even started. Gasps again. Murmurs spread across the class. Yifei narrowed his eyes, now taking the match more seriously. Then it was Lu Sheng's turn. He stepped forward, calmly, his right fist clenched, his stance grounded. He struck. The punch landed cleanly, direct, precise, devastating. The impact echoed across the room. Yifei's body was thrown backward. He crashed into a group of students watching from the side, knocking several of them over. The room fell into complete silence. Eyes widened, mouths opened. One strike. Just one dot. Lu Sheng had ended the match in a single blow. For a moment, no one moved. Even the teacher stood frozen. Then, slowly, the silence broke into shocked whispers. Lu Sheng didn't say a word. He stood where he was, calm and composed. While the entire class watched him with disbelief and awe, something had changed, and everyone knew it. The crowd had barely recovered from their shock when Yifei, after flying across the room and crashing into the watching students, tried to push himself up, but failed. His arms trembled, his body weak. The punch from Lu Sheng had done more than just knock the wind out of him. It had completely overwhelmed his system. Within moments, his eyes rolled back, and he lost consciousness. A few teachers and staff rushed in. A stretcher was brought, and Yifei was carefully lifted onto it. The murmurs in the crowd turned into low panic. Students stared at Lu Sheng like he was a different species. No one had ever imagined that quiet Lu Sheng, the boy they barely noticed, could take down someone as skilled as Yifei with a single blow. Amid the tension, Instructor Zhang narrowed his eyes. He gestured firmly toward Lu Sheng. "You, come with me." There was no room for refusal. Lu Sheng followed the teacher silently, though inside he felt a flicker of unease. Did he go too far? Was he going to be punished? They arrived at the instructor's office, and for a brief moment, silence filled the room. Lu Sheng stood straight, trying to remain calm. Master Zhang didn't scold him. Instead, he gestured to the blood key measuring device. "Place your hand there," he said. Lu Sheng hesitated for a moment, then stepped forward and did as told. The machine activated. The number appeared on the screen, 1.532. Even Lu Sheng was stunned. His key had increased drastically since his last test. Instructor Zhang's eyes widened in disbelief. 1.5 at your age? He was silent for a long while, processing what he had just seen. Then, without warning, he turned to grab something, but his movement accidentally bumped a nearby punching bag. Lu Sheng, out of instinct, and with a need to release tension, struck it. The force of his punch sent the bag flying straight into the bonsai tree on the windowsill. It shattered. Instructor Zhang's jaw dropped. "That was my bonsai," he muttered, staring at the broken pot and scattered soil with a mix of sorrow and disbelief. Still recovering from the shock, Zhang sat down and sighed deeply. He looked at Lu Sheng again. "There's a saying," he began slowly, "that to defeat a monster, you need a monster." His gaze was heavy with meaning. "Lu Sheng, you're becoming something beyond the ordinary. What you carry inside you, it's powerful, dangerous, even, but it's exactly the kind of strength humanity needs to survive." Then, with a nod, he continued, "I can no longer teach you properly. What you need now is a master far more talented than me." He offered Lu Sheng a recommendation, an opportunity to train under someone who could guide his unique development. Someone suited to handle a talent of his caliber. Lu Sheng bowed respectfully and expressed his sincere gratitude as he turned and left the room. Instructor Zhang watched him go with a strange mix of pride and excitement. A smile slowly formed on his face. With a student like him, the school has nothing to fear. He leaned back in his chair, muttering under his breath, "Yes, he can go to that place." A few days later, Lu Sheng found himself walking through the bustling aisles of a shopping center. The place was full of life, families smiling, children dragging their parents excitedly from store to store, people chatting as they made purchases without worry. Colorful advertisements beamed from digital screens, showcasing the latest martial arts gear, ki-enhancing supplements, and advanced training equipment. Everywhere he looked, there was comfort, ease, and wealth. He stood still for a moment, watching as a father casually handed over his card to purchase a bottle of strength-enhancing supplement for his son, something small, trivial for them, but far out of reach for people like Lu Sheng. His chest tightened slightly. Just days ago, he had still been an amateur martial artist, unknown, struggling, and while he had certainly changed since then, the memories of that struggle were still fresh, still heavy. A bitter thought passed through his mind. How easy it is, for others. He turned his eyes to the ground. He wasn't only thinking about himself. His heart ached for someone else, his little sister, Lu King. In his eyes, a true genius. Smart, capable, and filled with potential. But fate had not been kind. She had a brother like him, someone who, until recently, had nothing. Nothing to offer, nothing to give. Someone who could only hold her back. He clenched his fists. It felt like he was trapped. A fish swimming in a shallow, murky pond, yearning for the vast ocean beyond, always blocked, always held down by invisible barriers. But now, things were different. He had something no one else had, a mysterious dream world, a brutal but transformative realm where he could level up, where he could grow stronger with each battle, each lesson carved into his body and soul. That night, he returned to sleep with determination in his heart, and, once again, the dream came. He stood now near what looked like a military base, ancient and crumbling, but still surrounded by high, thick walls. The structure looked like a fortress from a long-lost era, one built to withstand catastrophe. Lu Sheng approached carefully, curious and cautious. As he searched for a way in through the cracks and gaps in the concrete wall, something caught his attention, a presence. From the shadows beyond the breach emerged a zombie unlike any he had seen before. It didn't move immediately, but it exuded a presence and aura so powerful, so dangerous, that it made Lu Sheng's body stiffen. His breath caught in his throat, his heart pounded. He hadn't even fought yet, but his will to fight began to waver. It was as if the mere existence of that creature could drain his courage. His instincts screamed at him, "This one is different. Don't engage." He backed away slowly. There had to be another way in, another path, a way to grow stronger without charging headfirst into death. Moving with caution, Lu Sheng circled the compound, eventually finding a less guarded entryway. Inside, he began clearing out smaller groups of undead, less dangerous but manageable. His skills continued to sharpen, his movements more refined. Eventually, he stumbled into a room, dark and sealed. Inside, he found a strange machine, something he couldn't immediately recognize. It looked ancient, technological, yet almost alien. His curiosity got the better of him, and he reached out, brushing his fingers against its smooth surface. Suddenly, the device lit up. A holographic image flickered to life before him, an elegant woman, shimmering in translucent blue light. Her clothes were futuristic, military in design, and her posture was proud, like a commanding officer. Then she spoke, and Lu Sheng froze. The language she used, it was the same language he spoke. The realization struck him like lightning. This world, this place, this dream, it was connected to his world in ways far deeper than he had imagined. Lu Sheng stood silently, the soft blue glow of the hologram casting shifting shadows across his face. His eyes were still wide, heart heavy with the revelation he had just received. The air was quiet, thick with the weight of truth. The AI, longer just a machine, but something deeper hovered calmly before him. His mind worked furiously to process everything. This wasn't just a vision or a hallucination. It was real. The data, the devastation, the world he knew decayed, buried, forgotten beneath 10,000 years of ruin. And now, Shi-I as his guide, at his silent acceptance, AI activated its archive. The air around him shimmered as countless windows of information opened in layers. Martial arts forms, cultivation systems, energy manipulation diagrams, battle footage, and combat techniques spun slowly, like ancient knowledge floating through space. There were names of long-forgotten martial masters, techniques that could split mountains, and paths of bloodline evolution that went far beyond his current understanding. Among them was a category that caught his attention: level 10 martial artists, the pinnacle of human combat potential. Yet even they had failed to protect the world from what came. It was a sobering reminder. Power alone was not enough. Then came the history, earth-shattering in its simplicity. This wasn't another world. This was Earth, his Earth, projected 10,000 years into the future. The monstrous apocalypse that haunted his dreams was not fiction. It was a future he would one day inherit. The timeline was shown in detail. Cities destroyed, kingdoms crumbled, civilization hanging by threads. The martial path had advanced far beyond anything his era had ever imagined, but it still wasn't enough to save them. Humanity had become fierce, but not victorious. Curious. Lu Shang asked the AI if there was any information on himself. The system searched and eventually returned with a profile. A digital window appeared before him, containing a fragmented record, sparse data, training logs, school history, basic notes, and then he saw it. Deceased, age 28. Lu Shang's breath caught. He stared at that single line, emotions twisting inside him. That was supposed to be his fate. A life cut short before its prime. He asked for more access, but the system required his blood. Without hesitation, he offered his finger. AI, instead of using a sterile method, oddly leaned forward and bit his finger gently, an almost comical gesture amidst the tension. Blood sample accepted. The atmosphere shifted. The AI systems reacted immediately to the sample. Her visual projection adjusted, her tone became more fluid, her presence more refined. Around them, the holographic interface expanded again, this time unlocking deeply restricted archives. The change happened fast. A new file loaded his updated profile. His photo, once lifeless, was now replaced by a determined face, glowing with new purpose. The death age disappeared, replaced by a branching timeline. The future had changed. AI confirmed it. By coming into contact with this projection of the future, Lu Shang had disrupted the natural flow of time. The original course, his death at 28, had been broken, but even with that knowledge, he wasn't satisfied. The techniques were powerful, the access was valuable, but the hunger inside him burned hotter than ever. What he had seen, what he now knew, it wasn't enough, not yet. This glimpse of the future was both a blessing and a curse. He couldn't go back to being ordinary. He couldn't allow this information to be wasted. He was no longer just a struggling martial arts student in a poor family. He was someone who had stared into the abyss of humanity's end and lived to tell the tale. And now, he had the chance to become something else entirely. He looked at the ruined base, the broken past, the shattered legacy of a dying world, but also the tools, the path, the awakening. In that moment, he didn't speak. He didn't scream or shout. He simply clenched his fists, feeling the weight of fate settle on his shoulders. This was no longer just about surviving. It was about rising. Lu Shang had seen the end, and now he would fight to rewrite everything. Not for glory, not for revenge, but because the world needed something greater, and he would become it.